I've never had another human body part inside me. Maybe an occasional kinky pinky in my butt just for funsies.
I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. Yeah, I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues.
Welcome to another edition of Married Game Podcast. We are the voice you trust when it comes to lust, and we are who you hire when she lacks desire. Jessie Joy, you are looking titty-licious today.
I burnt my titty, right?
How'd you burn it?
Curling iron.
What?
It's a woman thing. Women know.
We've had an interesting week this week, and I love this energy.
Couple weeks, actually.
Yeah, a couple weeks. Call it 6 weeks and
Okay,
call it even.
Sure.
We've learned a lot.
Yes.
We've stepped on each other's toes a lot.
Yes, that's why we've learned a lot.
And that's why we've learned a lot.
It's been really good now.
Yeah.
Not going through it.
Well, what I love is we just got off of we typically will record these after we do a coaching call with the guys.
And I love those calls.
And it's an energy. There's such an energy thing
a
between you and I when we do it.
It's hilarious. I crack the jokes.
Yeah. You answer wrong, I fix it.
No.
So these types of those conversations, we come out of here, we have this energy, we have this fire. But I noticed that we share a lot with our coaching group, the shit that we learn from our coach.
Yeah.
So we learn a lot. We hang out with the wizard. We bring our problems to him, stuff. We've had a lot of downloads. We have a lot of light bulbs, a lot of ahas. For me, I was like, damn, Jessie, where's the empathy? Where's the empathy? What was it for you on your end that you were learning so much about?
I learned that my family line is very critical. And specifically, it's hard to hold space for weak men. Mm-hmm. And when it's not that you have a weakness, you just have a concern or frustration. And I consider that weak, not consciously, subconsciously. So I'll tend to not have empathy for you in those times. That's what I learned about myself. Then I turn it into like a critical reaction. So I'm trying not to be as critical, but I'm funny when I'm critical, so it's hard.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic because it's like, as a guy, I can't be 100% all the time awesome, radical, amazing, and never have a fault or never have a breakdown or never have a.
Why would I expect that from you? That's crazy. Not that I expect it from you, but I know you're human too.
Yeah. So
you're gonna have things that you're frustrated about or sad about or excited about, but emotions are, I guess, hard for me to deal with. Yeah,
it is so much. Like there was the one thing that I thought was might be some of our biggest breakthroughs. Like we might have had some of our biggest breakthroughs, and I love. Somebody was telling me the other day, they're like, "Oh man, like, dude, your shit is so good." I'm like, "Give us some more time." Like, yeah, the stuff we've got, what we're saying, not a lot of people are saying it, or they're not saying it the way we're saying it. But man, we're learning so much in this process. Like I'm learning so much. Like, what does it mean for me to be empathy when I see your blind spot? Mm-hmm. What does it mean for me to come alongside you when you're struggling, and for me to not take personal offense on it? Like these things are really, really powerful. And the one that was the big one, I think, for this week, there was a couple major ones, but this one was really interesting. We have a hard time asking each other a question and just letting the question. We'll preload it with previous angst, resentment, historical data, why there's no way I'm actually going to do the thing right, and I know you're going to do it wrong. Like almost like these sabotaging words we say to each other.
Right.
And then we ask the question, and we're like, why do we fucking do that?
Right.
And it's because...
And we already then instantly put our shields up and like, man, fuck you.
Yeah.
I can't hear anything you're saying. Instead of asking, are we quest in this relationship?
Yeah.
Which two people need to do.
Yeah. Well, and it's we're so afraid we're not going to get what we want.
So we have to phrase it with all that in, like, remember when you did this? Now can you fix it? Instead of just, hey, this frustrates me. Can you not do it? Or in a nice way.
And we act so immature about it.
I know.
And it almost sounds like a really bad sales job, like a sales pitch. Mm-hmm.
But we think if we say it all, like, oh, now I believe you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I'm going to fix that. But now we're just coming at each other with swords.
It's so immature that it's really childish. Like rather than like, hey, can you do this for me? no, okay. Like we're so hell bent on getting the result we have to get that by any means necessary, we're going to get it. Mm-hmm. And yet it shows such a lack of faith and trust in your partner to be like, hey, I would really like this. Can you do this for me? And we'll actually do it on shit that doesn't have anything to do with how we view our identity. Think of an example. Hey, can you grab that fork for me? Well, I don't really have like this tremendous amount of angst around asking that, because I actually, if you don't get it, I can go up and get it myself. But there's this one thing which causes this relationship, not just ours, but like any man and woman, is like, I can only get sex from you. Almost every relationship is like that if they're have a monogamous relationship. And if you say no, then I can't get it. And I don't know if I'm ever going to get it again, when I'm going to get it again, if it's going to be good now that you said no, maybe you don't like it. Like our mind as a man freaks out, and yet nobody's really wanting to say that.
Because you only got one sales pitch, one moment to ask.
Yeah.
And if you lose it, you're like, no. So you say anything in that little time, and then you're like, shit, it didn't work.
It didn't work. And then, man, I'm back to just by myself. Dude, but it feels that way to guys.
Yeah.
As weird as that is, or weak as that is to say, that is the very real emotion a man is going through. And he's like, if I ask and she says no, what is he supposed to do? Specifically
on that, I wanted to say, whenever I had the chance to say this, is when for a woman, if she says no and the man pouts, what she can do to try not to have him pout again, is to give him a rain check.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And then he's not like, oh my God, I'm never going to get it. And when's the next time I'm going to get it? Because it's like, feels never ending.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. That she can give him a rain check. Like, I'm really exhausted. It's, pretty late right now. How about tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the women out there, they can help their man. Tip. Well, you know what they do for, I don't know if it's for Delta or CIA or Navy SEALs or all of them, but what they do is they will send their greatest mental training. This is what they do. They send men on a run, and they don't tell them when it's going to stop. Mm-hmm. So they don't know what the end of it is. So they could run for 3 hours. They could run for 30 minutes. They could run for 13 hours. They don't know. And the not knowing is what absolutely drives them bonkers.
Yep.
It's like when you're waiting for something like, oh, did I get that contract in? Or, hey, did I make it to that team? Did I make it to call? All this waiting anticipation just robs people of A, being in the moment, B, having a tremendous amount of joy. But for a guy, especially a man in a monogamous relationship, he's like, well, okay, is that no indefinitely, or is that just no for now? Mm-hmm. And it will eat away at their soul. So I think, dude, what the tip you just gave these ladies, and for guys, if they're saying, hey, you should go watch this tittylicious lady. Dude, some shirts you wear that just make your tits look so... You have amazing tits.
Oh, thank you.
But, so well done. High five. I want to just motorboat the shit out of them.
Oh, my God.
I don't normally say this stuff to you on this show like that, but today you showed up, and you're a real showstopper.
I'm really showing up.
Yep. But you've given guys a tip to help their women, but that is one of our major principles: is it's never rejection, it's always rain check. Yeah. Meaning, like, hey, tonight might not be the night.
Yeah. And for men, don't ever pout, because then she's not going to want to give it to you again. So you're going to make it longer by pouting. Don't pout.
We hear stories of guys in our coaching group all the time that that when they first come in, we hit it pretty hard in the modules, like, don't be a pouty little bitch. And if you don't get it, we always have that, like, hey, have a no big deal attitude. But yet we still hear from our friends, from people out in the world, like, you don't have to talk to a guy very long in the bleachers at a hockey game, a baseball game, or a soccer game for him to be like, oh yeah, man, I remember when I used to get laid. And have this just like this pouty bitch attitude. Mm-hmm. And it drives women absolutely crazy. Mm-hmm.
It's so gross.
Do you remember the last time I pouted?
Not about that. Not pouted. That's terrible.
But about this specific thing. I don't remember it.
No.
I literally don't remember it.
Nope.
but I know it happens. It's very real for guys, and there's that cocktail or that mixture of I don't know when I'm gonna get it next, and then it's the little things. Here's the little things that drive guys crazy, that they hate and they don't know how to get over. It's if a guy leans in, and you still do this to me, but I now understand the context of what you're doing, and so it doesn't hurt my feelings anymore at all.
I wonder what you're gonna say.
Yeah, like so simple. It's a total nothing burger to me, but it used to be a big deal. So you come in here looking all tittylicious, and I go over there to give you a kiss, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh my God!
I know,
yep.
I know why, because you're like, I don't want to ruin I don't want to ruin my lip gloss.
Right.
I don't want this rough ass, sexy ass beard to ruin.
I get all red from you too.
I get it. But I used to not understand the context, and so that would make me a little bit of butthurt. Like, well, why don't you want to kiss me?
I remember
super
that.
fucking
That's
kissable.
So funny.
It's those little things, or it's the raise of an eyebrow, or like if I said, hey, you want to have sex, and you have any look of disdain on your face at all.
Yeah.
Guys take that personal, like,
so personal.
Why would the secretary's been begging me to give me a blowjob, and I ask you for sex, and you look as if I got the plague.
Yeah.
That's how guys really think. That's why they get so fucking pouty.
Yeah. As a woman, we're like, I just told you I started my period today.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
But then that whole energy and pouting is like, no, now your ass ain't getting it again. That's how we feel.
Which is kind of...
It's shitty.
It is shitty.
But it's just everyone being super shitty. Let's all not be shitty together.
The new jingle. The new married game jingle. Let's all not be shitty together. Did that sound like a country song to you?
It always does.
Everything I sing sounds like a country song. I've got such a good version of Take Me Down to Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. I actually want to do a cover of it, how I think it should be done, and I think it would be a hit. Okay. So, that's why guys freak out the way they do. And not only that, because we have a lot of guys that are entrepreneurs or business dudes or whatever that listen to this show. I attract a lot of those guys because that's what I am. They are so used to getting everything they want. Like, if you just look at our life, we have assistants. Hey, I need this, buy this, get this. Like, it's a world of and everything happens.
Yeah.
And yet they come home and like, oh man, I really love some sex. And then the wife's like, yeah, well, good for you. Where are you going to get it, buddy? That's how it feels.
Yeah.
Is there an equivalent for that for the women? Like for the women back to guys, you're like, all I want is this. Why is it so hard?
Wow. Now that you asked that, I'm thinking of like someone listening to us.
Okay.
So for men, they don't listen very good.
Like they're not very good active listeners.
Yeah. And remembering, so we're like, I just told you that. I just said that.
God.
Did you even hear anything I said? So that's pretty much, my friend listens to me. My mother listens to me. Why don't you listen to me? So it's kind of like, kind of the same thing.
So you've heard me say this to the guys a lot, and I go, okay, here's the scene. And this will be perfect because Super Bowl's coming up this weekend. And
I love this one.
This is it's such a great reframe for men to understand what's going on and to think about their women. So I kind of reframed it now and go, hey, guys like, to have sex and they want the wife to say yes, whatever. On the flip, what is the woman looking for? And you're saying, I want to be listened to. I want to be heard. And I always say, if you could set the standard that 20 minutes a day is your wife's favorite 20 minutes of the day, is if her looking forward to coming and talking to you would be the same as if a guy said, I came home and my wife's sitting there in lingerie. Like that's pretty much like the equivalent. Mm-hmm. So a wife comes to a man, and guys, I want you to go with me on this one, and I want you to really kind of think through this one. Imagine your wife came to you, and she says, you love this. Look at that big old smile.
So good.
It really is. So your wife comes to you and she says, hey, listen, we're going to do Super Bowl alone this year. I've got the kids heading down the street, and here's what I want to do. I want to make you your favorite meal. Handmade, made with love. I'm going to crack a cold brewski. I'm going to make sure your beers are cold. They're in your hand, and you just get to watch the Super Bowl all by yourself in total peace. I'm going to feed you. The only thing I want from you is that at the halftime you let me give you a blowjob. I've presented this to guys in speeches. And they're like, okay, so what would that mean to you? And we're like, I'd sell my soul for that, man. Damn, dude, a beer, the game, and a blowjob? Are you kidding me? The beer, it's called the beer, ball game, and a blowjob. The beer, ball game, and a blowjob? Hell yeah, dude, I want that. And I go, okay, cool. Every guy would want that. Now what's the reverse? What is that for women? And you told me what your answer would be, but what do you think most women's answers would be?
No, I don't know. What are you going to say?
Oh, you said, I want a day in a hotel all by myself, ordering food
Yep.
service. And if there happens to be a cool purse right there hanging out that I would like, sure, I'll take that too.
All alone.
Just alone time where you don't have kids running up and doing all the stuff, right?
Yep.
Putting the shoe on the other foot for guys is really hard. Mm-hmm. We actually tend to be the ones who lack a lot of empathy. Even though we were talking about you lacking empathy and coming from maybe a critical line of family or whatever. But guys usually are the ones that have they have a really tough time being empathetic.
Today on our call, you said, men, have you ever just thought about someone being inside of you and how invasive that is? I mean, yeah, you're a man, I'm a woman. It's nice, but sometimes it feels invasive. But I just love that you took the time randomly on your day, whatever day, to think about that.
That was yesterday.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I was just sitting there. I'm like, I've never had another human body part inside me. Maybe an occasional kinky pinky in my butt just for funsies, from a girl, not a guy. And but I was like, I never had anything inside it. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Shit, that's a dip. As having never had that happen to me, that's just interesting.
That's probably why more women say no sometimes, or in their period and all the stuff that goes on in there. It's like, not right now,
Yeah. Well, there's also a lot of science behind it too. If you think about, if I have a sex with a woman, she might be able to get pregnant. Well, not with me, obviously, but there's not a tremendous amount of risk, because I wouldn't, but a guy could have sex with a woman and bounce out on his responsibilities and head down the road and be just fine.
Yeah.
But if a woman had sex with the wrong guy and she gets pregnant, and now she's in 18 years of raising this kid plus more, there's a lot more on the line for a woman than there is for a man. So it's like, even just psychologically and
inherently,
you're just like, dude, there's a lot more at risk for a woman. What if she gets knocked up by some dum-dum and then has a dum-dum kid? Mm-hmm. It's like, that's a very real possibility. For a guy, he's just like, whatever, and he just moves on down the road. So there's inherently different issues going on there. But it kind of struck me as like, have you ever considered what it would be like to have somebody inside you? And the answer is like, no, I have not.
Yeah.
So
I love that. This is just a rando podcast, just chit chatting.
Well, you and I candidly started off an episode right before this, and we're like, we're off.
Yeah.
Like, our energies, like, we come from a group coaching call with guys that cannot wait to hear what we have to say, because it's their situation. We're helping them sort it out.
I love it.
But us comes through.
But even this morning when we went on a walk, we're just flowy, chit-chatting back and forth about things we want to talk about. Today, for some reason, we started, and we're like,
yeah, this just feels off. So we're like, scratch it.
Scratch what we're gonna do. Let's just chat.
Yeah. Well, let's just tell the people what we were thinking, shall we?
If you want to.
I think so.
It's good stuff.
What time
obviously.
is it, by the way?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. 12:55.
Okay, cool. So we got to wrap this up in 2 minutes.
It's good though. Yeah, I would love to speak on it.
We're going to create an episode for you women to send to your husbands. I get a lot of DMs from the wives. You get them too, and it's like, oh my God, I wish my husband could hear this. I wish he would understand. I wish he could become a provocateur, but how do I tell him?
Like, how do I send him something like this? So this is what, and I think it should come from you more. why or how to say and send these things. So what did you say? You said to send them, like, not this podcast because we're talking about it, but a different one saying, what do you think about this guy? Is he right? Or and just kind of put those thoughts into his head.
Yeah, the direct line, you hit it pretty close.
Oh, thank you. I don't need you then.
No,
it should come from you, though.
The direct line is, if women, we're going to create a podcast, and maybe we have an episode. Maybe you could send them any episode for right now. I just send them anything, because we're always talking about this shit, and it's probably going to cause them to want to look further and to dive deeper into it. But the energy is very simple, and it's this: hey, send them a clip from what we're saying, or send them an episode of our podcast and say, is this how guys really think? Mm-hmm. And I know guys think how I think, because I'm a dude, and we've helped hundreds and hundreds of dudes, and we talk to thousands, and we know that, yeah, guys want to get laid. They're not getting laid within their marriage. They all think that the honeymoon was supposed to be the best sex. We think that's for minor leaguers. And so send them a clip, any podcast for now, until we create this ultimate one, which is simple. Hey, is what this guy's saying right? And you sent me my clip back to me.
Oh my God.
You sent me my clip back to me, because we weren't in a fight, but we were kind of in a little.
It just pertained to our argument.
Yeah.
And so I said, I said it to you. I go, is this guy right? And in parentheses, I get it.
That was clever. Thank you. This has been a fun podcast. This was an interesting one.
We should just record our just talks,
Yeah, that's what
our walk and talks.
It's whenever you do a quote unquote show like this, where there's the lights, there's the cameras, you got your titties hanging out, I'm looking awesome with my left bicep. We want to create a show for people that they really enjoy, that they're entertained with, and that they walk away with something that's like really good. That doesn't always come off natural. Yeah. Even though when we're together and we're with our people and we're with our coach, it is radically natural. Sometimes it's harder to capture that naturality. Yeah. And when we weren't feeling, we're like, fuck this, dude.
That was good. Because this isn't natural for me.
Yeah.
I'm growing into it, which I love. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not natural. It's not a natural thing.
But
our talks are, so
100%.
Makes it easier.
I've never met a woman that talks about this as good or as well as you do, in the context of, because you are married and you do understand what's going on, and you do understand what's happening. So I love these talks. I like the more free-flowing energy that we have.
Me too.
It's a lot of fun.
Our dynamic is so good, because I feel like I'm mumble jumble in my thoughts, and so I'll like say a couple of thoughts to you, and you're like, oh yeah, and you put it into something so clear. Yeah. So this works well.
That's how
we're doing it.
We're doing it. All right. Well, gang, we love you. I gotta go. I'm no longer gonna. I'm gonna try not to. We have an actual live show I've got to be on in damn near 60 seconds. So we have to go. I'm not gonna do that anymore. So that way there's no end to this.
The audience know.
Yeah, I just let them know.
I'm just kidding. I'm making fun of you.
All right. Well, hey, listen, we love you. Share the show. We're not taking any advertising dollars right now. If you love the show, you got something from it, share it. You don't have to share it on social media. If you do, we love that too. Share it with a friend that you think needs it. And as always, remember, keep crushing it. That shit's contagious.